Now that Michigan's Spygate scandal is over for now, have you seen their 2026 recruiting class? Coupled with their present 2025 class with Bryce Underwood, Michigan is poised to make a bunch of runs for more national championships. Locked On Big Ten starts right now.
You are Locked On Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Big Ten. I'm Craig Sheeman. 40 years as a sports talk show host and play-by-play announcer, and I want to thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Hey, hit that free subscribe button down below. That way you'll never miss a single episode. Plus, share, like, and follow because that helps us out. We'd really appreciate that as well. Today, we'll talk about how red hot Michigan is on the recruiting trail. You may have missed it with all the other NCAA news going on. Plus, we've got a lot of recruiting news, a lot of Buckeyes recruiting news, and a nice shout out for Rutgers quarterback Ethan Kaliak-Manis. We'll talk about that as well. But the biggest news of this past week for Michigan football, it hasn't been the NCAA ruling regarding their sign stealing scandal. Other than the fact they're going to appeal that and all that, that's all in the rear view mirror, other than the appeal and possible legal cases, all that coming up. Yeah, so much for rear view mirror. But to the detriment of Michigan haters out there, the biggest news of this past week was the exclamation point that Sherrone's recruiting class for the class of 2026 received when five-star running back Savion Hiter announced he is bringing his talents to Michigan from the state of Virginia. He's the best running back in the country, and it's not even close. And Michigan loves to feature the running game, right? That's in a day and age when everybody's throwing the rock all over the place. Michigan still likes to run the ball. Now they got the best running back. Hiter comes to Ann Arbor. His final four schools when he was whittling down was Ohio State and Tennessee and Georgia, and of course, Michigan. By all accounts, it was really a two-team race between Tennessee and Michigan, and it became a bidding war between the two. Name, image, and likeness, revenue share, money, all that stuff. He is expected to make over $1 million a year. This is the second straight year that the Wolverines landed the top player in the country at a very important position. The other one obviously being quarterback Bryce Underwood, who not only was the best quarterback in the country, he was the best recruit, ranked number one in the country. So they got him last year, and then when they flipped him from LSU at the last second before signing day, now they got Hiter, the best running back and a top 10 player in the country coming in. He has been nothing short of amazing in high school. Last year, he averaged just under 11 yards per carry. Let me say that again, 11 yards per carry. That dude's a human first down every time he touches the ball. That's incredible. He also rushed for 29 touchdowns in 11 games. Good size, good power. He's just a hair under 6 feet tall and 200 pounds. He runs people over. He's got speed. He can do it all. He's like the perfect running back. And look, a lot of credit for him ending up at Michigan has to go to Michigan running backs coach Tony Alford. Ohio State fans know who he is. He was at Ohio State from 2015 to 2023, and that's when he actually started to recruit Hiter, when he was with the Buckeyes, and that's why the Buckeyes were always kind of on his short list. He offered him a scholarship as a Buckeyes coach long time ago, and then years ago. And then in 2023, after that, Alford came over to Michigan and joined their staff in March of 2024, a year and a half ago. And he offered Hiter a Michigan scholarship like on his first day. He came over, he packed his bags, he unpacked in his office, and he said, "Hey, Sherrone, I'm going to offer this guy that I've been offering at Ohio State. I want him to come to Michigan." Okay, boom, offer. And then the bidding began behind the scenes for name, image, likeness, and all that money. But Tony Alford, you give him all the credit in the world for recruiting this guy, having a multi-year relationship with this guy. And so Alford switches schools, comes to Michigan, and going to bring Hiter with him now, as Hiter announced he is coming this week. Big announcement. So Hiter's commitment it moves the Wolverines class now into the top 10 for the class of 2026 nationally. Back in May and June, the Wolverines were a little slow to start. They were ranked in the 40s nationally. People were wondering, hey, what's going on? Well, as we pointed out here on Lockdown Big Ten, Michigan was going after a lot of big fish, a lot of 4 and 5 stars. Those kids tend to take their time making a decision because they have multiple options. Some of these kids have 15, 20, 30 offers. And with each of them come a little bit of negotiation. All right, you're going to give me a $500,000. Are you going to give me $1 million? There's that going on. And then you just don't decide that overnight. So Michigan got off to a slow start. They had cast a big net. They just hadn't pulled it in yet. Now they're pulling it in. Now they're rolling with his top 10 class. In fact, with Hiter's commitment, Michigan's now one of 9 schools with at least 2 5 stars. I remember the guy, edge rusher Carter Meadows, who committed. He's coming as well. And a list of impressive 4 stars along the way as well. Wide receiver Zion Robinson, he's coming from Mansfield, Texas. Travis Johnson, another wide receiver, 4-star, coming from Chesapeake, Virginia. Don't forget tight end Matt Ludwig from Billings, Montana. He committed early this spring. That was a big deal that we talked about here. So their class, they're loaded also in the trenches, both sides of the ball. You combine it with Underwood in his class of 2025, which includes more players in the trenches. And by the way, that included Andrew Babalola, the left tackle, who was going to start as a freshman at 6'6", 300 pounds. I mean, Michigan's known for their big, powerful offensive linemen, but usually the freshmen don't make it. He was gonna. But he injured his knee this week. He's out for the year. So he redshirts this year. He'll be good to go coming in next year. But he was another true specimen too. And given his size, 6'6", 300 pounds, was quite the basketball player. So he's a really good athlete. And he was probably going to be the starting left tackle this year as a freshman. So sadly, he's been injured. He'll be out, but he'll be back next year better and stronger than ever. There are already whispers about Babalola being a first-round NFL pick, and he hasn't even played a snap of college football yet. So we'll see. Keep your eyes out on him for next year. But the larger point here is that Michigan is all in to surround Bryce Underwood with big-time talent. Don't waste him. He's big-time talent. So they're putting talent around him. He's going to be very special in his own right. And with the most of talent around him like this group is going to grow up and mature together. And I think they're going to do some things. They're going to win a lot of ball games. And if everybody stays healthy and people don't transfer out, and Michigan has a pretty low rate of kids that transfer out. You go to Michigan, you want to be there. It's a pretty cool place to be, and kids want to stay there, generally speaking. So they've always recruited well. So have Big Ten rivals Ohio State and Penn State and USC and Oregon. All these guys recruit at an amazing level. But there are a few players on this roster that can be a little extra special, more than the usual. So if Underwood develops, it goes through his ups and downs in his learning curve, and after Sherrone is actually done with Spygate and the suspensions this year and maybe next year, we'll see how Michigan makes it through the NCAA appeals process and their legal battles and how all that turns out. But it's full speed ahead with Sherrone and this Michigan football program, and putting together a monster roster for them right before our very eyes. So maybe, just maybe, the 2023 national championship, with or without its controversies, will be in the rearview mirror, and Michigan can really put its stamp on college football over the next several years. Now, this year's going to be an interesting transition year. Again, it all depends on the learning curve of Underwood, because I think they have a talented team this year as well, too. If he comes out lights on fire, look out. But we're probably talking some special things, maybe 2026 and beyond, maybe. Although I think 2025 will be fun as well. Hit me up with the comments. Let's hear it from the fans and the haters. Let's do it. I always like to hear that on YouTube. Always check those out every day. Be sure to hit that free subscribe button down below so you never miss a single episode, and share, like, and follow Lockdown Big Ten, because that really helps us out. We really appreciate that as well. Don't forget, we have a website, talkbig10.com. That's with the number 10. All of our podcasts go there. You can check out yesterday's right there if you missed it. Plus, we have links where you can buy Big Ten gear for your favorite school. You're a Michigan fan, you want a Michigan shirt, an Ohio State hat, a Wisconsin pennant, whatever you want. It's all right there at your fingertips at talkbig10.com. All right, we have a lot of recruiting news, a lot of Buckeye stuff, by the way. We'll discuss all that in detail. Also, Michigan State, some news and some attention for Rutgers quarterback Athian Kaliak-Manis. Plus, we'll have our Big Ten Classics for you heading into the weekend. It's all coming up in 1 minute here on Locked On Big Ten. Guys, Rougiette, you heard about it? I'll tell you about it. I mean, you've probably heard about Viagra and Cialis and maybe even tried them. But if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rougiette Ready. Rougiette Ready is a next-gen prescription treatment designed to amplify arousal in the brain and boost the blood flow. And unlike the usual pills that can take hours, Rougiette's 3-in-1 formula dissolves under your tongue and kicks in fast on an average of 15 minutes. Effects can last up to 36 hours, so you can stay confident and in control when the moment is right. And if traditional options don't work for you, Rougiette might be the answer. Over 150,000 men have already made the switch. Head to Rougiette.com/LockedOnCollege and use the code LockedOnCollege and get 15% off today. That's Rougiette, Rugiet, Rougiette.com/LockedOnCollege and use the promo code LockedOnCollege for 15% off. Individual results may vary with prescription treatment. Compounded drugs are permitted to be prescribed under federal law, but are not FDA approved and do not undergo FDA safety, effectiveness, and manufacturing review. Please visit the Rougiette website for full safety information. Thanks for making Locked On Big Ten your first listen each and every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe, it's free. And also, if you don't mind, share, follow, and like. And check out our website, talkbig10.com, for podcasts and Big Ten merchandise. Let's talk some Ohio State football. So they just named their redshirt freshman, Julian Sayin, their starting quarterback for their highly anticipated opening game of the season against number 1 Texas. But the Buckeyes always have an eye on the future. And that includes a quarterback, too. They got a 4-star class of 2027 quarterback, Brady Edmonds. He's already committed to Ohio State verbally. And that hasn't stopped other schools from trying to get him and flip him away. They try to do that. Penn State and Oregon, by the way, 2 very aggressive ones in the Big Ten. But so far he said, thanks, but no thanks. I'm good. Kind of, leave me alone. I want to be a Buckeye. In fact, he's helping the Buckeyes recruit other players at this point. And he may already have his number 1 weapon in the fold as well, as 5-star class of 2027 wide receiver Jameer Brown has already committed as well. And not to jump too far ahead, but the number 1 overall recruit, at least in current rankings now for 2028, I mean, it's so hard to recruit kids or to rank kids for 2028, but a lot of people, the consensus is that the number 1 recruit there for 2028 is 6'4" wide receiver Bryson Wright out of Jacksonville. And he's already been offered by the Buckeyes. Of course he has. And by no means were the Buckeyes his first offer. But, 6'4", highly ranked wide receivers tend to end up at Ohio State, or wide receiver U, as we like to call it. They usually land those guys. So we'll keep an eye on him. But not all the recruiting news may be good for the Buckeyes. We're keeping an eye on 2026 5-star interior lineman Darius Gray. We have talked about him a dozen times on this podcast before. Now, the Buckeyes have been in the mix for him all along, but so are Clemson and South Carolina and LSU and Tennessee. And he's always spoken highly about the Buckeyes, loves the fact that they won a national championship, says nice things about the coaching staff. And I think at one time may have been favored in this race, but I don't know that that's the case right now. He is announcing on Friday. So we'll keep our eyes and ears open for that. Word on the street, though, he's leaning Gamecocks, maybe LSU. We'll see. It's going to go down the wire. Now, the good news for Buckeyes fans, he's visited Ohio State 6 times, including an official visit this past June. So he is interested. So we'll see what happens there. Got one more note about the Buckeyes right here and their season opener versus Texas. Longhorns defensive lineman Colin Simmons, he posted a picture of newly announced Buckeye starting quarterback Julian Sayin on social media with no words. Just his picture, no words. Kind of like, hey, new target in sight. This is who I'm going to be sacking. It's kind of the vibe it gave. So we'll see. While Ohio State and the usual Big Ten suspects have realistic hopes of making the 2025 college football playoffs, the 12-team college football playoff field, Minnesota's PJ Fleck says, hey, what about us? Why not us? Says the playoffs are a realistic vision for the Gophers this year. He's now in year 9 of the program, and with a 12 team and soon likely 16 to 28 team playoffs, whatever it's going to end up being, he thinks the playoffs are a realistic expectation for his program. And by the way, the Gophers do win a lot of games. In fact, they've gone to 6 bowls in the last 7 years. It's not surprising to anybody. Minnesota throws up an 8-win season. They do. And by the way, they've got one of the most exciting players in the country in safety / wide receiver / kick returner, Coy Parrish. We featured him a couple of weekends ago. And look, if Minnesota could ever get on a roll and win some games, and I don't mean like 7 or 8, I mean 9 or 10, get a little attention, Coy Parrish he's Heisman worthy, but at Minnesota, will people discover him? We don't know. If he puts together a few amazing highlights early on the year and people jump on the bandwagon, maybe he returns a kick for 98 yards or a big score or a pick 6. He had like 5 or 6 interceptions last year. That's not unrealistic. And you start getting some attention early on. Maybe. We'll see if he starts making some short lists out there. Let's talk about Michigan State. Jonathan Smith and Michigan State, they're already locking in some game day visits for recruits, some of which they're trying to flip from other schools who have already they've already committed, kids that have already committed to other schools with verbal commits. That includes 4-star running back commit or a Pitt commit, Damon Ferguson. He's already committed, but Michigan State's still trying to get him. And then there's 3-star Northern Illinois defensive back commit, Justice Donahue. And he's from Maryland's trying to get him as well. So he's from Florida. Got 8 offers, all from non-power 4s. So maybe, Michigan State and Maryland, I can get it if he wants to play at a bigger school and a bigger conference. Maybe this is a kid they can land. And I want to talk about Rutgers for just a minute here. It's been fun to watch the development of their quarterback, their career Ethan Kaliak-Manis. So he's about to enter his 3rd season as a starting quarterback in the Big Ten. He started out at Minnesota, was with PJ Fleck. I mean, the story is, he was doing fine there. He had ups and downs as a freshman and had some downs at Purdue. Word is that he and Fleck it wasn't good. The ride home. And he transferred out of there. Ended up at Rutgers, Greg Schiano, because their OC was formerly at Minnesota and he had some comfort level there. Played all year. In fact, I think he's the only Power 5 or Big Ten quarterback to throw every pass for his team in a year. Last year, he played every game for Rutgers, and he's going to be the starter again this year. But here's the big news. His name is now on the list for the prestigious Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Watch List. It's pretty cool. That's an award that's awarded to the country's best senior quarterback. So he's come a long way. And again, started all 13 games last year, threw for 2,700 yards and 18 touchdown passes. And also the Scarlet Knights averaged 29 points per game last year. That's their most they've ever had in a decade. So keep an eye on him. Things are going well. Ethan Kaliak-Manis. All right, if you're new to our podcast, at our 3rd segment, our final segment, every day we always have fun segments. Every Monday, you can mark your calendar by it. We do our top 10 Big Ten observations from the weekend. That's really fun, coming in on a Monday on a game weekend and running down stats and plays that guys made. We do that on Mondays. Tuesdays, we follow us on Twitter. We do Tuesday tweets. Put something in there now. We'll put it on there on the program on Tuesday at X, at Talk Big Ten. Wednesdays, we like to power rank stuff. Yesterday, we went on the record, preseason 1 through 18, all 18 Big Ten teams and how we ranked them. Go check it out on yesterday's podcast if you missed it. Thursdays, today, we look ahead at the Big Ten Network. We have a lot of common interests, even though we're not affiliated with them. And I pull out Big Ten classics that I think you'll be wanting to watch, get out of the heat, get in some air condition, watch some old-time football from last year or yesteryear. in the Big Ten. They air the Big Ten Classics. I like to highlight those. And then Fridays, we make some kind of picks, odds, pick 'em segment, all that. So coming up, our Big Ten Classics. Hang tight. See if your favorite team's on the schedule here this weekend on Locked On Big Ten. Open phone is great. If you are running a business, you miss a call, you're leaving money on the table. You're missing business. And when you think about it, reverse it. Last time you were a customer and last time you needed service and you called somebody and there was nobody picking up, what'd you do? Did you wait? Did you call back? You went to the next company. You went to somebody else. If you as a business miss a call, you miss business. So that's why you need open phone. So you never miss an opportunity to connect with your customers. Open phone is the #1 business phone system designed to streamline and scale your customer communications. And how about you? Do you juggle? Do you have a work phone and a home phone, a personal phone? They take care of that for you. Well, open phone, solved instantly. And they have an AI feature that handles calls after hours and answers common questions and captures leads so you never miss those again. It's absolutely fantastic. Over 60,000 businesses trust Open Phone. They're offering Locked On listeners 20% off your first 6 months at openphone.com/LockedOnCollege. That's OPENPHONE, openphone.com/LockedOnCollege. They'll even port over your existing numbers for free, so you don't have to do that hassle. Open Phone, no missed calls, no missed customers. Prize Picks helps you get involved in these games, right? And we're often brought to you by Prize Picks. They've been a long sponsor of ours. Daily fantasy platform. So it lets you turn your football predictions into real rewards. So we're ready. The season's here. Whether you got an eye on some big name quarterbacks, breakout running backs, Prize Picks makes it easy to get in the game. For example, you compare a couple of players. You could say Joe Burrow, more than 2 touchdowns this weekend, and Aaron Rodgers, less than 3. Put them together, and if you're right, you highlight your winnings, you're good to go. And sometimes you can win up to 2,000 times your money. It's crazy fun. So you pick and pair the players and the stats, and you go from there. They have a flex option, game changer here. Like if one of your picks in your group of players misses, you can still win. It's a lot of fun. Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today and use the code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 in lineups after your first $5 play. Prize Picks. Run your game. All right, let's do this. We'll take on our look ahead to the weekend of Big Ten Classics. We'll put it on screen. If you're audio only, don't worry. We'll take care of you and describe everything so you don't feel left out. Here we go. There we go. Out on screen. Here's what I picked out. We picked it up with Friday, August 22nd. That's tomorrow. And first of all, I wanted to mention instead of classics, the Big Ten Network does a nice job of going to all the camps, talking to the coaches, head coaches, coordinators, and a few players, and then they talk amongst themselves about the preview of the season coming up. It's pretty good. They do all the schools, and a lot of these are they're re-airing at 5:30 Eastern on Friday, re-airing the Wisconsin training camp that they did with Luke Fickell and company. 7 o'clock Eastern, Michigan State, Jonathan Smith, Aiden Childs. Check him out. Get the inside scoop. At 8 o'clock Eastern, going to show the one they did out west with UCLA and Nico running things at quarterback. The 9 p.m. Eastern, I believe, is the first airing. That's a brand new one. The rest of those are repeats. The Michigan one, brand new. 9 o'clock Eastern, Friday night. It'll be re-aired numerous times throughout the weekend if you got Friday night plans, and don't check that out. Meanwhile, let's go look at Saturday, August 23rd. We got a Michigan football classic, a re-airing of the ReliaQuest Bowl, where Michigan put the beat down on Alabama on December 31st, 2024. Dominic Zaveda kicking 4 field goals, and the Michigan defense had 5 sacks in the Wolverines' 19-13 win over the 11th-ranked Crimson Tide, and it was the second time they beat Alabama in 364 days, going back to the previous Rose Bowl college football semifinal. That's right. Big Ten greater than SEC. They're going to re-air that Michigan training camp after that at 8 o'clock Saturday night, in case you missed it on Friday. They'll also re-air the training camp feature from Iowa at 9 o'clock and Oregon at 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Pacific, and then follow that at 11 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Pacific, in Oregon Football Classic, the Big Ten Championship, Oregon versus Penn State. Just from past December, where Dylan Gabriel threw for 4 touchdowns to help the top-ranked Ducks beat the third-ranked Nittany Lions 45-37 and got the program's first Big Ten title and cap off their undefeated season in their first season in the Big Ten. Now, on to Sunday, August 24th. We've highlighted a few things for you. Again, all times Eastern. We're going to fast forward to the evening, though. 6 o'clock Eastern, 3 o'clock Pacific, the big moment featuring the Nebraska Hail Mary, Jordan Westerkamp, Ron Kellogg III, Jeremiah Searles, and Matt Davison. And Cornhusker fans look back on Nebraska's game-winning Hail Mary pass against Northwestern in 2013. At 8:30, The Journey, Big Ten football, Ohio State. You can learn things behind the scenes, why it was important for Emeka Egbuka, who's now with the Buccaneers, to return for a final season last year at Ohio State, along with Jeremiah Smith. And you get a little in-depth with Will Howard before he played. This was the interview was taped right before this first game against his first rivalry game against Michigan. And they talk with Cardell Tate as well, following tragedy in his family and what it was like to go play. And then behind the scenes, with the top 5 showdown between the Buckeyes and their win over the Hoosiers. So the action-packed there. If you're a Buckeyes fan, check that out. The Big Ten Journey, Ohio State, 8:30 Eastern Sunday night. At 10 o'clock, they got Big Ten football, The Journey. This time the feature behind the scenes with Oregon. Talks with Dylan Gabriel, and he wanted to always play at Oregon, and he did. And a lot of great stuff there. And then also highlighting the Ducks' victory over Ohio State. And then at 11:30, an Illinois football classic from last October, Michigan at Illinois. Luke Altmaier passing for a touchdown and ran for another to help the 22nd ranked Fighting Illini beat the 24th ranked Wolverines 21-7. That was the 100-year anniversary game. Red Grange, the 6-touchdown game. Michigan, Illinois from 100 years ago. Opening up that stadium 100 years ago that week. And if you missed it, at least peek in on this or record it. This is where they did the 3D paintings to make their helmets look like leather helmets at Illinois. It's fantastic. I can't rave enough about it. I always love it. Always talk about that. So there you have it. Big Ten Classics into the weekend on the Big Ten Network. Everything that's going on. We got some football this weekend, and the Big Ten schools start playing next week and into the next weekend. It's here. Football season's here. Congratulations. We made it. Stay tuned for all the latest news, Big Ten-wise. News, analysis of that news, and opinion of that news. All 18 teams, video or audio, makes us the most unique Big Ten podcast in the world right here. Thanks for joining us. Interact with us at Twitter, at Talk Big Ten. Check out our website, talkbig10.com, where all of our podcasts go. Plus, there are links for you to buy your favorite school merchandise there. Before you go, I'll ask you to hit that subscribe button real quick. It's free. That way you never miss a single episode. You'll be good to go for the entire Big Ten season. And while you're at it, go back for a second listen and check out yesterday's Locked On Big Ten podcast in case you missed it. Or for a second listen, there's Brian Smith in the Portal Show, part of the Locked On family. He's there every day on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. That'll do it for us. Thank you so much for your time. I never take it for granted. Tell your friends about us. I know if you're a Big Ten fan, you know other Big Ten people. Let them know we're out here each and every day. For Locked On Big Ten, I'm Craig Sheeman. Talk to you tomorrow.